Good morning. I'm downtown Logan Brown,
And this is Braydon.
and this is the Pickleball Effect podcast.
Welcome to this week's episode. So much has changed from this week and last week's. We knew it would. Tons of new information on the MLP PPA front, obviously the big merger. So we're going to talk through the merger details. We're going to get the downtown Logan Brown lowdown of what's going on there, what we know, what we don't know. And then I had a really fun week with some paddle testing. So we're going to talk paddle babble. Then we're going to finish with our in and out segment.
All right, let's do it. All right, so MLP, huh? Woo! MLP, PPA. UPPO now? Unified Pickleball something organization?
Are they going to actually change the name? Like I saw that they're under their one umbrella now, but like two entities, right? Like it's not going to change its name.
I mean, what does it matter at this point? Everything's going to change in a week, I'm sure. I don't know.
Right?
Somebody made a good point that like it's similar to it's similar to like pro sports where maybe what they'll do is like you could have like the NFL and the AFL, and then together it's like one organization. I still think I don't think they're going to like I don't think it's going to be a super marketed public UPPO type of thing. I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either. But yeah, there were rumors about this happening. I mean, everyone always felt like that it was still on the table that, an MLP PPA merger could happen again. But I didn't think it was going to happen this quick. It did happen this quick. It caught me by surprise. I wasn't sure it was going to happen. I was pretty disappointed, really. Like I was pretty entertained by it all. And it seemed like a positive direction for Pickleball, the players, and the new format and stuff. But here we are again, back with MLP and PPA holding hands. So, Logan, I know you did your research. You listened to everything and read everything you could about it. Give us a lowdown on what we know about the merger and what things are going to look like moving forward.
Yeah. So I'll start off with just my personal business speculation. I think that this whole thing, because like you said, I'm disappointed in it too. One, because I think that the MLP could have just gone and done this on their own and really created a great product, even without Ben and Annalee.
Yeah, like why did they need the PPA? Like besides Ben and Annalee, or do you think that was it?
I'm still not sure why they need the PPA, but like you said, I'm listening to everything, reading as much as I can, and I can't remember where I read or heard this, but I think there is still the idea that there needs to be one, like space for all of pro pickleball so that it's not confusing to the consumer and all of the players are playing against each other under one umbrella. I'm not super bought in on that, but I'm also not the leader of these organizations. So I think that might have been a leading indicator in coming back together. But from a business perspective, I really think this whole thing, the other reason I'm disappointed is because of like the humans behind it. Like the players are humans and they're getting yanked around. I think what it was that back in the day when Vibe and MLP kind of had this agreement, you're not going to launch Vibe. We're going to use Major League Pickleball as the team event side of this. I think that Connor and Tom Dundon like kind of held the cards. It was like, you know what? We have the major tour. You're just kind of this side gig where they go and they play these fun events every now and then. But we're the real money. We're what's happening. I think they're breaking even or getting close to profitability, where I heard on Major League Pickleball, again, this is something I heard, they were like losing $1 million an event or something crazy like that. So I think this when they basically went out and started grabbing players and said, we're going to offer you contracts, when the tour war started, I think that was their idea of putting the power back in their hands. Say, listen,
so you think like this was the end goal for them the whole time?
I have a feeling. Yeah.
And I did hear several comments from some smart people, like questioning where the money was for MLP, raising that same point you did, where it was like, yes, they have a cool system, but where's the money flow? Where's the money coming in? They're going to be able to afford these contracts. It seemed like the general sentiment was that they're going to be able to raise money. They have lots of backers that could provide money to keep the operation moving until they found some sort of formula that was profitable. But that was a concern, and so maybe that's was part of the reasoning for merging back with PPA, because they do seem to have more cash flow than with the way they're doing things at MLP.
Yeah, and speaking of that, like cash flow, the number that was mentioned in King of the Court podcast was that in 2024, as contracts exist today, they owe players $40 million.
What? No.
That was the number that was thrown out. So
40
go fact
million
check
just
me.
from like appearance fees, prize money, that sort of thing, or just whatever they have.
Well,
contracted?
these new contracts.
Oh, I mean, this is with the new contracts.
With the new contracts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
40 million. Okay. Wow.
So the other side, yeah. So there's a kind of a fat number for people to kind of blows you away. The two players that I think were, I guess, actively being talked about as kind of like mind-blowing numbers was Kwang Dong and Lauren Stratman. This is not from them either, but like the numbers being thrown around was that they were offered $500,000 contracts for next year, and like
just
Kwang
for
Dong's
2024 alone.
Yeah,
$500,000.
Yeah, and Kwang Dong's not even on like an MLP team. So, in any case, they've decided to come together.
Is your point saying like these players getting $500,000? Like, what are these other players who are more top tier getting?
Yeah,
like obviously it's going to
be
Anna
Lee or Ben Johns. Like, I think the PPA basically went out and tried to throw really big checks at people, or the idea of a really big check at people to keep them on their side. So that's what the part that I'm really upset about is just that, number one, you went out and created this kind of like war. People chose sides, all for the idea of likely putting the ball back in your court, like bringing the power to your side.
Mm-hmm.
And now people have probably written checks that should, not that they can't cash because they're both billionaires, but like on both sides. But it's checks that probably shouldn't be checked. Like Adam Stone and they brought up on their podcast, like, this is way, way more money than they should be getting paid. Like, they're excited, but they're like, listen, we have like 6,000 people watching in a weekend, 6 to 10,000 or something when it's on YouTube. If it goes on TV, it's pretty good, but how are we getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars at the minimum for this, given what it is? So that's one part of it. But essentially what they did was they came together. PPA is going to kind of remain that own brand, and MLP is going to remain its own brand. Apparently $50 million had to be thrown into the pot as an investment, likely for two reasons. One, they have to have cash on hand to pay for these salaries next year. And I don't think either tour is turning a profit. And two, the investment likely helps with the cap table so that they gave 5 board seats and Connor's not even one of them. So Connor Pardo, who is basically the founder of PPA, is no longer on the board, doesn't have a voting right, but I think he's going to be kind of running the show, more of like the operations of the tour. So I'm sure the $50 million investment was to kind of shore up the board seats on that side. So here we are.
So one of the questions I have for you about all this is like, what do we know about contracts? Like, are they going to be honored as is? Are they going to be renegotiated? Like, do we know that yet?
I don't think anybody knows that yet, but
so
every podcast
on how contracts are going to be handled.
Yeah, I guess I'll say that everything that I listened to this weekend or this past week, they're all under the understanding that contracts will be upheld. I call a bluff on that. I say
that seems unlikely. Yep. I mean, I would think that the contracts have some sort of clause in them, as an out. Like there usually is, right?
Well, and they just created this new organization, so under litigation they could say, "Oh yeah, well we made that contract as the MLP, but the MLP doesn't act as the MLP anymore. We're now the UPPO, and the UPPO is going to have to negotiate a new contract with you."
They'll find a way around it.
Yeah.
So maybe they won't be owing $40 million then. That'll yet to be determined, but that's kind of a sticky piece of information we don't know yet that we'll have to just pay close attention to as it plays out. So some other things that have come out of these discussions of them merging is like what the new schedule is going to look like. Because I know MLP was big on reducing the schedule, making the environment better for the players. While PPA, before all this was pushing more tournaments. So I think there's been some talk around, what the schedule, how things might look next year with this new organization. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So I saw from one source that this idea of around 20 to 35 events was being thrown around. Leia mentioned on the NML podcast that 12 Major League Pickleball events were being planned for 2024, but that was, pre-merger. So I don't know if they're going to be able to get away with 12
So anymore, we don't really know what next year's schedule is going to look like yet.
No. But I would say that the APP just released their schedule. I think that looks like a really healthy schedule. It's like every 3 events or so, there's a major. I think there's 4 majors in the APP next year, which is kind of fun. And who knows if some of these players will go play in that too, now that this is kind of how messy this has gotten. I don't know what that's going to mean for them, but I think you could probably use the APP schedule as some sort of guide to what PPA and MLP are probably going to do.
You said healthy, like healthy for the players, or like a healthy meaning like a lot? What do you mean?
Yeah, healthy as in like not too many events. I think the PPA was throwing around, before even the Tour War started, they were throwing around the idea of like 48 total events next year. And I think these, it's just, I'm not getting burnt out as a viewer, but it becomes a little ridiculous when there's like a tournament every single weekend. Right now we're in a little bit of a lull, but like every single weekend this past summer has pretty much been a PPA tournament.
Yeah, it's been nonstop, and it's addicting. Like I always have it on. I can't help myself.
I do too. It's just that you can't even, sometimes even like we as kind of creators around the space, it's hard to even catch your breath on what's happening. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, Riley Newman played with who on what weekend, and was that 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago? Like you can't even keep up
together. Yeah. But we do have Atlanta next week, which doesn't sound like, I don't know. there was talk of like PPA players bailing out on Atlanta, but then they merged. Now there's talk of MLP players, signed players that are going to bail out. Who knows what's really going to happen? They're probably all going to show up. But we do get that event next week, and it doesn't look like anything's changed to the event. I think things are just going to kind of move us forward. And you're actually going to be there, right?
Saturday. Yeah, I'm going to get on Saturday for it. So basically on Saturday, I get like there's going to be 3 groups of 4 teams, like for Premier and Challenger. And essentially those groups have to play each other for a space in the quarterfinals. So 6 teams will go to the quarterfinals. And so Saturday, there'll be like the final round of matches that will define the quarterfinals. And like the quarterfinals will start at like 4:00 on Saturday too.
Okay. So, nice. So you'll get to watch the quarterfinal matches.
Yeah.
And you've never been to one, right? This will be your first MLP event?
Yeah, I've never been to one. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, dude, I'm jealous. I'll go to one eventually. But that sounds like it's going to be a ton of fun. Should
I dress up as Tyson, like go tank top, get a mullet, and like, or is that overdone? Maybe I should dress up as like Julian, or
do someone less known. Who's a player that's got, maybe do an Alshon, wear like a polo, get a fake tattoo on your thigh.
Ooh, yeah. But I'd have to like, what if I could get like the long hair like he used to have, and now he's running it short, but like I could go long hair. That'd be pretty fun.
So many options. Just outdo the hype guys.
I could probably outdo the hype guys. They wear all Chubby's gear, and since I used to work there, I have some OG stuff in my closet. I might be able to
bring out the OG stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. That was like in my 20s. I'm not sure if I'm ready to be that.
Just go heckle them. No one ever heckles enough.
What if I try to just go sit with them the whole time? Like just whatever they do, I just get involved. You think they would like stop me?
Give it. I don't know.
No, like when they go on the court to hype people up, like I just go with them. I'm here. Like
the hype guys.
Yeah,
just join them. Like I'm one of you.
Like what are they gonna do? Like say you gotta leave.
They're just gonna run with it.
They're gonna run with it.
Film that. That'll be great. But there's a lot of questions on what the format and things are gonna look like next year. I just don't think we know what the answers are yet, and so we just have to wait to see how things shake out. But from the looks of it, it seems like they're going to tag MLP events onto PPA stuff. There might not be like a challenger and premier level anymore, so no relegation system potentially. But yeah, things are just going to look different. I don't know if there's going to be another draft, if they're going to do something else, but we'll talk about it once we get more information. Right now, it's kind of all up in the air, but it does look like it's going to be a different format next year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. We'll talk about it more as more information comes out. The rumor mill says no more challenger and premier levels and no draft. But I still think a draft might be necessary next year, in my opinion. But
yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But anything else you want to bring up there before we jump over to Paddle Babble?
No, I'm excited about next weekend. I just want to watch the play. I just want to go to one of those events and see what it's like. And I hope the crowd's good. They've been promoting it like crazy, which either means one, this is just they're doing a good job promoting it, or two, they're struggling with ticket sales. Saturday afternoon, they're promoting this like free college night. So they said they're going to bring a bus to your campus if you have enough people sign up, and they'll just bring you to the tournament.
Did you sign up?
I'm not in college, man.
You could pass off.
What if I just stand in front of a fraternity house?
They won't know.
They probably wouldn't know.
There's too many people.
I'm just gonna stand on Georgia Tech's campus, like the thumb out, pick me up.
Dude, there's so many ways for you to blend in this tournament and just be famous.
Well, I mean, really hoping that all the fans come out who are listeners. Maybe I'll get some autographs and I'll get my picture taken.
Logan will be available for autographs, photo ops.
Hit me up.
He's very approachable. It's going to be worth, his signature will be worth that more than the $1,000 BJ paddle I just bought, I think.
Probably so.
So dude, we'll jump over to Paddle Bob here. So I did. We talked about this last time. I bought that $1,000, 100 gold thing, right? So I was actually I was pretty pumped about it. I was like, paddles are my thing. I felt like I had to have it. So I had the money in my PB Effect bank account, just bought it. So it comes in the mail. I open it up and it was actually pretty disappointing. So let me show this to you.
Yeah, please. It's not on your wall, so it must not be great.
I'm gonna have to get my own custom case or mount or something for it. So
yeah, hold that case up. Let me see it. Hold it up a little bit higher. Come on.
So it comes in this, and when you look at the pictures, I know that they have sold this a version of this briefcase, separately, and it's like $50 or something. I thought maybe they upgraded it, but it's not. Nah. It's like this plastic briefcase. It's got the 100 gold thing on it, and it's golden or whatever, but it feels pretty plastic. It's not metal, so it's just cheap. So the first you open it, you're like, oh, really? This is what it comes in, and then we'll plop it open here.
Dude,
it's hard to do this and keep my face on the mic here.
Yeah. Well, listen. I want you to take this briefcase to your next tournament. For real.
I should just take the paddle out, but
you got to use the paddle.
It comes with the certificate and stuff. I got number 49.
Oh, a piece of paper.
Couple of pictures, and then there it is. I haven't taken it out yet. I'm not sure if I should. It's I might just leave it in there. Don't touch it. I can still smell the Sharpie of Ben's signature here.
Ooh,
it's fresh. I'm gonna try and keep that as long as I can. But no, dude, I'm just gonna hold on to it. So I made a post about it on my Instagram, and some people are giving me beef about it, like, oh, what are you gonna do with that? Why did you get that? It was so stupid. But maybe it was. I don't know. But I'm gonna hold on to it. Maybe it'll be worth something someday.
If someone listening right now wants to buy it, what's your asking price?
$1,500.
All right,
I'll sell for $1,500.
And $1,499, $1,499.5, $1,500 sold.
Well, I also have a set of Pokemon cards that I got when I was, in elementary that I'm gonna resell here soon. It's a full set of base 2 cards.
No way.
Them appraised right now, and I'm gonna be able to sell them for a decent chunk of change. So maybe this is the next collector's item.
My brother has a Pokemon YouTube channel. Isn't that
Does
funny?
he really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does he do better than us, or do we win?
No, we're doing better than him, I think.
Yeah, take that, Logan's brother.
Take that. Yeah, but he gets he finds these cards. He basically does those pack opening type of videos where he'll buy these packs and he'll open them up live, and see what comes out of it. But he said he's gotten some cards that are worth like $300 and out of a random pack. So
there you go. Yeah, some of those cards are worth quite a bit. It's pretty wild. If
you got a Charizard in there for me,
dude. I got a base 2 Charizard. It's part of. I got the full base 2 set. Like it's worth some money.
I don't know what base 2 means, but it sounds neat.
It's like the second set of cards that were made.
I'm like a base 1 only kind of guy, so I'm sorry. It's not good enough.
Yeah, I understand. You're a purist. And then, so I finally got the Engage Pursuit Pros. So I got all 4 of them. I got all the information, like the swing weights, twist weights, and stuff in my paddle base. If anyone wants to go check that out, link in the description. I did the spin test for them. They were coming in a little over 2,000 RPMs for me. The original or the ultras were way lower than that. So they made a big improvement on the spin. This is raw carbon fiber, so like you'd expect it to be better. But first impressions are like these things can just rip the crap out of the ball. Like they're very poppy, very powerful. Definitely feel, or in terms of like power, they play very similar to the original Pursuits, where the ultras that kind of bombed on them a few months ago were just softer. They didn't maintain that kind of Pursuit power that they were known for, and why people bought them. And so they brought that back. They got the power back. The spin's there, and I think a lot of people are going to like these. Like these are easily the most powerful non-thermo paddles I've played that are 16 millimeters thick. So normally
they're non-thermoform. So what are they?
Not. So they have the foam edge, but it doesn't go all the way through the handle. Like stops at the top of the handle, and then it has they call they're like special core. It's called the black core. It's actually pretty interesting. So like Coors is in a place where a lot of people have like innovated, but Engage has what they term as their black core. So like if you were to rip the face off, the core is black instead of that plastic color. And I don't know, whatever they did, it's much more powerful than your typical polymer core. And so like the 16 millimeters rip, the 13 millimeters really rip. And they got the spin to kind of help you harness the power, but they're very poppy, so they're a little trickier to control. I think thermos are easier to control. But I think they may have found a winner with these. I've been kind of off and on hitting these. Some of them are nicer. There's 2 of them I really like. One is okay, and then the MX 6.0 is just like really, really heavy, and so I don't think a lot of people are going to be attracted to it. But
interesting.
Hoping to post that review here in a couple of weeks. I have a tournament this weekend, so I've been kind of off and on with the paddle I'm going to play there, and these paddles I've been reviewing. But that's going to be my next review.
So to put it in context for the listener, is it's more poppy and more powerful than the 6.0, like the Black Diamond?
Yeah, than like any thermo that I've hit so far. Yeah,
Travis Rettenmaier said he liked it. He said he tried it on his podcast and he liked it.
Yeah, he's always played with a power paddle too, so it makes sense. But yeah, these they rip. And then some other news. So Gearbox messaged me out of the blue, asking or saying they got a new paddle coming out. It's going to be released October 10th. In their terms, it's going to change the game. But I think they've said that about every paddle, and I think every brand says that about their paddle. But they did something different. I don't know anything about it other than I got the shipping confirmation. So that's in the mail, and they're releasing that October 10th. So I'll probably do that one after the Pursuit Pros for reviews. I'm always intrigued by Gearbox. Like I like their value proposition of like, extended life of the paddle because they only use carbon fiber. Like they do things differently, which I respect. I think that's cool. But they've always had that kind of issue with stability and the smaller sweet spot. That's been a drawback. Plus their price points are pretty high. And so they've always been relevant, but they've never been like a top dog in my mind. But we'll see what this new paddle is coming out October 10th. And then additionally, I'm always like on the hunt for a diamond in the rough paddle, right? And so this last like week and a half, I had some time to kind of mess around with a bunch of different paddles to see if I could, kind of find something that's, out of the blue a little bit that could be good. So I tried, I had a bunch of paddles just from the last few months that people have sent me. So I went and hit a bunch of them finally. So I did the Pickle series. These guys like do a lot of promotions with the Dink, and they're pretty heavy on advertising. And so I wanted to try them out. And like they're not bad. Like they're both thermoformed, the 16 millimeter and the 13 millimeter. They're not bad. The 16 or the 16 millimeter has a little lighter swing weight for an elongated paddle, which is kind of unique to it, but nothing really stood out for me on them. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do a full review of these. Like, they're good, but I don't know if there's anything in here that would make me want to, or would make me like, recommend these over maybe like a more established brand.
Right.
And then I also tried these two paddles from Mavericks is the name of the brand. So this is another new brand.
Oh yeah, I've seen that kind of on the forums. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, these have kind of been floating around on social media. They looked cool. It's kind of this different shape at the top. They sent me this big, like, I like to ask for more information, from like brands I don't know a ton about their, who they are and how they make their stuff. And these guys sent me like this humongous email talking about their paddles, and I read it and it seemed interesting. So I said, sure, I'll play it. But the main idea was like, oh, we can cut the swing weight down and the balance point by shaving off those two corners and make it play different. But I didn't really think, it played that unique. They're good, right? Like their power models of a thermo, but it's just, again, nothing really stuck out to me that made me say, okay. I mean, like, they're charging like $150, $160 for both the Pickle and the Mavericks. I was like, okay, I can just go recommend a Vatic Pro. Plays the same or better for a cheaper price, or other. Anyways, just they were good, but nothing stood out to me. But there was one brand.
Dun dun dun.
That could be a diamond in the rough here. So this is another new one. This brand's called Neonic.
Never heard of it.
So, right, you're not supposed to have heard of it. So I think they're super new. They can't be more than like a couple months old. I think I'm not really sure, but they emailed me. I looked it up. I was like, sure, send it to me. So it's only $100. It's this really inexpensive paddle, but it is thermoformed. They only have one shape right now. It's 16 millimeters elongated and a 5.3-inch handle. So nothing we haven't seen before. But when you go play with it, it's actually pretty solid. It feels really light. Like it moves. It's really whippy, but it still has pretty good pop and decent power because it is thermoformed, so it still kind of retains that. But I like that it felt really light and moved really, really quick. And so it has this super light swing weight of like 116 for an elongated shape. And it had a pretty good twist weight number of 6.35 or something like that, which is like right on the average, which is a good place to be. But for it having a lighter swing weight, you don't typically see the twist weight as high as it is. And so it kind of has this nice combo of some stability, it moves easy, but it plays well. Is it like phenomenal? Maybe not, but with it only being $100, I was like, okay, this could be a really good value paddle for $100. It plays really well and it's on the lighter side and maintains some pop. So it kind of had a couple of unique value props there. Like, okay, it's a cheaper price and it plays lighter than a lot of the thermos out there. And so like your bread and butter filth that you like, it's like 120, like 3 or 4 swing weight. And so it's on the heavier side. So this is like,
you play with that, by the way. I saw you had it on Instagram.
Yeah, that was another one where I was like, yeah, it's good. Like, I like it, but it looks cool. Like, it makes you feel cool, but performance wise, I didn't think it was anything like spectacular. But a good paddle. Yeah. Anyways, I think this Neonic is going to be could pick up some steam. Like, we saw a lot of people really like the Prism Flash from Vatic Pro. That was $100, and this is like the first really solid like thermo that I've played. That's around that same price point. And so I need to spend some more time with it. I've only played with it. I drilled it for a minute, but banged against the wall and like play like, spent a little time with it the other day, the courts, but I haven't spent as much time as I normally do for a review, but enough to try it out and be like, okay, I'm interested. I want to do a review of this, at least do a write up. So I'm very interested in that Neonic. I'm going to keep my eyes on it, or I'm going to keep it in my, not keep my eyes on it, but just keep it around, and then
keep it in rotation.
Do a full review here soon once I'm done with the Engage and the Gearbox. But it's definitely something I'm interested in, and I think could be a diamond in the rough type of paddle, or at least a really good value paddle at $100. So Neonic.
Can our listeners get it from you yet? Have you set up an affiliate link or anything yet?
I did. I talked to him earlier. I was like, this is going to be good. Let's do the affiliate thing if you have it. And they're like, we have it.
Cool. So it'll be in the description. So
right? I'll put it in the description. Same thing as Vatic Pro. Like, you get $10 off, so it's really only $90. And I don't know what their warranty is. I'll have to go look that stuff up. But no, it seems like it could be really good value and a good deal that way. So that could be a paddle I start promoting more here soon. But that's it. That's it for Paddle Babble.
Well, let me ask you. sorry, I'm bringing paddle bow back for a second. I was interested in the Gearbox thing for a moment. Why, like, as a buddy of mine was playing with the 003, which is that really thick, it was like a 20 millimeter Selkirk paddle. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
But like when I
One of
saw
their
it,
labs paddles.
yeah, one of their lab paddles. Like when I saw it though, like it looked very much like a Gearbox, and every Gearbox I've ever seen is very thin. So why hasn't Gearbox gone to a thicker paddle that would help with the control while still giving you like the longevity of just using carbon fiber all the way through?
Yeah, I don't know. So they have all their original paddles, I think, are 11 or 12 millimeters, so really, really thin. They did release the CX14 series, the original series last year. That was 14 millimeters, so it was thicker, but not 16. They haven't done a 16 with their carbon fiber design. I don't know if there's like some sort of hang. It might just get too soft if you do that, because like the CX14s were super soft at 14. Like if you went to 16, then they'd be like completely depleted potentially. It doesn't seem like carbon fiber has the same pop as polypropylene does, which is like the typical core that 99% of paddles have.
Yeah.
And then they released their ultimates, which were also 14, and they had a little more pop, but they still didn't quite have the same power as like your typical power paddle. And so that Selkirk 003 you're talking about, that does have a polypropylene core. It's a polymer core, and
it's not carbon fiber all the way through.
No, it's just edgeless. So it looks like them from the outside, but they have different cores.
Got it. Makes sense. I still want to play with that. Or the 005 too seems kind of interesting to me. I haven't played with that either.
Yeah, I think they're coming out with a new amped line here pretty soon. That looks exactly, or is the 005, I believe, just with different graphics. I do have one of those. It's actually kind of an interesting one. Like it got a lot of mixed reviews. I think some people liked it, some people didn't initially. I haven't spent a ton of time with it, but I did like hit it against the wall, and it essentially felt like a cushier Power Air. Like it still had that kind of wood-like feel that the Power Airs have, but was a little more solid, a little more dense, more forgiving, but still jumped off the face pretty good. And so I think they're trying to make some form of an all-court paddle, because like they have their Power series, and then they have their Vanguards, which are very control-oriented, and their amps are just like this kind of legacy paddle they've had for a long time. There's just nothing to write home about those. They just kind of lost relevance. And so they're replacing that line. But it's supposed to be like their all court line. I've always been impressed with Selkirk and how they like manage and I guess kind of categorize their paddles. Like they have their power airs, their power paddles, their Vanguards, or their controls, and then their amps, like their all court line. And so they have like these clearer categories. It's easy to pick the paddle you want. I think it's kind of part of their success is how easy it is to kind of find one that fits the style you're looking for. And then they have like 4 or 5 different shapes of each one to find the shape that that you want and is ideal for you. And so they have like a lot of options, which is not the case for most brands. Like Neonic, for example, that just launched. Like I like this paddle, like it's the only shape, it's the only paddle they have. They have like 0 options, right? It's like sure, this could be like a little diamond in the rough, a little unique guy. And like I know they're coming out with more shapes, but it's hard to combat that as a new brand, because it's a lot of money to come out with different shapes, different colors, different all these things that the incumbents have, like Selkirk or something. And so it takes time to build up your catalog, and I feel like that's kind of the hardest part as a newcomer. It's hard to launch with a ton of different options unless you have a ton of capital, because I mean there's just so much risk involved. Like yes, it's easy to start a pickleball brand or like a paddle brand right now, but it's not easy to start like a complete one, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Just buying in the inventory itself is a tough ask.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. You need some capital. You can't just go start it up.
By the way, speaking of Selkirk, I I reached out to the Tennis Sucks podcast on DM'd them on Instagram, because the old guy, have you ever watched their podcast? There's like a guy who actually sits there and helps control the audio and will speak every now and then.
Oh no, I've never.
There's a third person. He like runs the audio there, and I used to talk to their old production guy on Instagram. Now there's a new one, but I DM'd him and I said, "Listen, now that Travis is not playing with Selkirk anymore, is there any chance that he'll bring one of his old 002s to MLP and give it to me? Because I want to do some content around like what makes this paddle so popular amongst the Selkirk pros, because every single influencer has all the pros seem to like it. The influencers have it. So I was thinking like an average Joe like me, I want to go play it, record it, and like talk about what is it about this paddle that makes it, so sought after from the
That would
pros
actually
and
be really
influencers?
interesting. Like the 002 kind of had a resurgence like 6 months, year ago or something. Cause like it came out, it was popular and then it kind of faded. And then all of a sudden all their pros were using it.
Yeah.
And all their kind of like high end Selkirk pros tend to prefer it over others. And yeah, dude, I mean, it's a crazy good power paddle and it spins really, really well, but it feels like wood. And it's got a really small sweet spot. So I think the average player doesn't like it, but the pros are all over it.
Interesting. He left me on red,
we'll
so
get
I'm
your
not
take.
sure I'll get
We'll
it.
get your take.
I don't know if I'll get it. It
Oh,
was
wait,
a very
yeah,
slim.
What did he say? Did he say we'd bring it?
Well, no. This is like I was DMing the Tennis Sucks Instagram account, right. And this guy is new, so I never really talked to him. It was a shot in the dark. So he saw the message, but never replied. So I mean, asking a pro to bring a paddle for me.
How do you know he's in charge of their like social account?
Well, I just assumed because the old guy was the guy who used to be sitting there dialing in the audio also ran the social media. Okay. And he told me a few months back that he was moving on to other things and they were bringing
you were friends with their production dude.
I messaged him because I was curious how it all worked. But yeah, you know how I am. I'm always DMing people.
Yeah, you're friends with everybody. All right, dude, let's go to our last segment. So in or out, we got two topics we're gonna talk about here. The first one, this one's yours. Tell us your bracket thing.
Oh, my hot take, dude. I don't believe in age brackets and tournaments, levels per age bracket. It rubs me the wrong way. Like if you're playing 4-5, but you're only 4-5 because you're at 50 plus, well then you're not a 4-5. That's my hot take. So
you're saying this, if you're 45 years old and you compete at the 4-5 level in that age bracket, but if you were to play in the 8-year-old plus bracket, 8 to 19
18 plus, yeah.
But it's always listed as like 8 plus on like.
Oh, is it 8? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
They should just play 3-0 in that level rather than playing people.
Well, I don't care what they play. They should play, if they're a 4-5, they should play 4-5. Like it's pickleball. Like we're not asking you to run a marathon. Like you're telling me that a 45-year-old can't go compete with an 18-year-old in pickleball? Why? They're too quick? Their endurance is better? What are they doing to you?
I don't agree with you on this one. I like the age brackets.
Right,
like let's say I'm 45 years old and you're young Logan Brown. We have the same power output, we have the same shots, but you're going to be quicker than me.
Quicker at what? My hands?
A little quicker in the hands. You can cover more court. You can move faster. And that's
all right. So if I'm Logan Brown and I'm 18 and I'm a 4-5, and that's how I play, then that should be the baseline of a 4-5. You're not a 4-5 then. Sorry. Like you're not. Like if you can't play me.
There's age brackets in everything. I think it's fair. Like that's the even playing field. When I'm 45,
in everything?
I don't want to play 18-year-olds. Yeah. You sign up. Okay. Or if you want to nitpick that.
I'm saying Matt Wright doesn't get he doesn't get like a senior
well, that's the open division. That's the open division.
I'm saying 4-5, 5-0, 3. It should be open. It's everything. It's binary. Yes or
every
no?
level should be open. Is what you're saying.
I'm sorry if you want to call yourself some advanced player, but you're old, so you think that you're not. It's like if age is part of the problem, if age is keeping you from competing at a certain level, then you're not at that level. End of story.
Okay,
like, then I'm a pro basketball player, but I'm 50, so like.
But then you have to go down. Okay, you have two people who can have the same shots, but I can't compete at 4-5, 18 plus because I'm 45. I'm not as fast as them, so I go down to 4-0. Then I just whomp everybody because my shot making ability is way better.
I don't know if I agree. Maybe they're really quick. Maybe you're playing some 18-year-olds that have like really quick hands of the net.
Shot making beats quickness. But shot making and quickness beats shot making.
Okay. I don't know. I think we should put it to the test.
I'm out. You're in.
All right.
All right, last one. So this was a thing that happened. I'm not sure what tournament it was. You sent me the video. What tournament did this deflation ball thing happen at?
Oh, now you're testing me. I don't know what tournament it was
I
at.
don't know. Okay, I'll just explain what happened.
It might have been the last one.
It doesn't matter what tournament it was. So Ben Johns and Annalee are playing Bright and Ignatowicz.
Cincinnati.
Okay, so Ignatowicz gets a high ball. He just swings out of his shoes, smushes it, goes past Annalee. Ben Johns throws his hands in the air. He's like, "Hey, that ball didn't bounce right," as if it was like cracked or something. And the ball wasn't cracked. They looked at the play afterwards, and James had hit the ball so hard that they said the ball deflated. Like that's what that's the word the
deflated.
ref, which is it doesn't make sense, right? Like it's a plastic ball, you don't pump air into it. But I think what he was trying to get at was that the ball flattened and it made it behave differently than had James not hit it so hard. And but the ball wasn't broken. He just flattened the ball. So they ended up replaying the point.
And they lost.
And they lost it. So are you in or out? Was this a good move or a good call by the ref?
I'm torn on it, but I'll go ahead and just be the bad guy and say that I'm out on replaying a point because your equipment was faulty. Like, sorry, I hit the ball so hard that it broke and I win. You know, like.
So if the ball cracked, or if it was a cracked ball, they replay it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I saw the same thing happen but actually I saw the same thing happen, but there was a different outcome in PPA Charlotte. Tyler Leung hit the ball so hard it hit off the edge of his paddle, and he literally made a dent in it. But because he hit it at an angle where the opposition, the opponents,
had no chance at it,
couldn't make a move on it, they just gave it to him. But in this case, like what you were describing, Annalee was there. She could have potentially
like it was towards her, right? Like, yeah, she could have made a play on it.
I would have liked it. I would have liked the decision if Annalee hits the ball, but it noticeably, ricochets off the paddle in this weird, funky way because the ball, but she didn't even make contact. But
yeah, she wasn't. Yeah, it's hard to say. We should have looked up the rule book, but like in my head, I'm like, I think that's lame. Give James the point. He ripped the schnoz out of it. You didn't get it back. Ball wasn't cracked. Like it's not. It wasn't James's fault per se that the ball flattened. Like he was playing it normal. He just hit it so hard that it did that. Like I think he deserves the point. And then to like what you said, like they ended up losing the point next. Like they had the clear advantage in that point, and they ended up losing because of the ball flattening thing. So I thought that was an unfair call for Bright and Anna and James. I think they deserve that point.
Yeah, just things like that can totally throw off the flow you have in a game, because you come out of that like, man, I just smashed that ball. You're on a high. Right,
you're ahead in the point too. Like you don't like it's hard to just win exchanges against Ben and Annalee, right? Like you have to capitalize on those moments, and then that got took away from them based on that, which was lame. There might have, I don't know if there was some preference there for Ben and Annalee, but I thought that was a lame call, and that they should have just gave the point to James and Bright.
But speaking of balls, I'm going to try to get my hands on. I'm going to be paying attention in Atlanta to see if there's any new MLP ball, because they had been kind of tossing that idea out. They were going to create their own ball sometime soon. So I'm curious if they do.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised. I feel like there's been so much going on. They forgot about that.
Or what if it's like on top of all this, they tell them they're not playing with the ball they've been practicing with this whole time. It's like, we got this new ball. It's like thicker and it's not going to break and it's great. Like this thing doesn't fly right. It's like
some random guys like, oh, Steve, remember that ball? How do you make? Yeah, we're using this.
He's down in the basement tinkering away. He comes back up. He missed out on everything, but he's got the perfect ball.
Yeah,
he's made it.
Selkirk came out with a new ball. They sent me some. I haven't hit him yet, but it's got like less holes than, I think it has like 30 holes or something. Than like the Duras and the X40s have 40 holes.
Right. So now this is called the Selkirk X30.
Yeah, they should. But I don't care what they called it. But yeah, they came with a new one. Their first balls that they came out with were a bit disappointing. But if these ones are decent, then like Selkirk has a lot of influence. Like these could end up in tournaments and stuff. So I'll have to go try them out. I don't know. There hasn't been a ball yet that's come up to compete against the X40 and the Dura yet. Like you have like Oso kind of made some noise for a bit. I actually tried those out, and like they weren't bad, but they worked pretty like even easier than Duras, and they didn't quite hit as hard as Duras, but they they probably hit a little harder than the X40s. So those were close, but didn't quite make it. Didn't really pick up. Didn't get really picked up anywhere. And then I don't really know. Has anyone else made a push on balls?
Well, I was going to ask. So last winter we got really into the core balls. Have you heard of core?
Oh yeah.
Because they were a little thicker. Like
they're like known as a winter ball.
Yeah, we were breaking the X40s like crazy, and it kind of sucks when they're $3 a pop. And then that group that you showed a paddle of, Pickle, is it called PC?
Oh,
they have a ball they claim is really durable. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't hit it yet either. Yeah, I don't know anything about that one, but yeah, I see their advertising all the time for the ball, but I haven't hit that one. I mean, just based off of what I've seen, online and socials and stuff, I don't feel like that ball has been necessarily picked up yet. But I do think Core has like a reputation for being a good winter ball. But I don't feel like anyone's really pushed the X40 and the Duras yet.
My biggest beef with the Dura is just that it like becomes an egg shape after I play half a game.
That's when they're at their best, Logan. Like, they're only good in the egg shape.
I only call replays of points every time. If I get a ball back and it's all wobbly, replay the point.
No, dude. You call replay if it's too round.
Listen, Braydon, this is not the way they do it in major leagues. Any kind of change to the ball should be a replay point. Deflated or not.
We'll see what happens. There's no way they're going to just pull out a new ball, but it'd be pretty funny.
That would be. I'd love that.
All right, Logan. Well, thanks for hopping on, man. Have fun in Atlanta, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, dude.